Are you too a critic of U.S. Hegemony, of neo-imperialism? Well, folks, I've got good news for you, okay? For the crime of being found in a court to have funded death squads, Chiquita has to pay $5. Oh, sorry, 38 million, but that might as well be $5. You know, in the context of their blood bananas. Mm-hmm. A Florida court. This death squad was trained in Israel. Is that so? Paramilitary troops of the Colombian United Self-Defense Forces trained in the mountains near Catatumbo in Colombia on the 29th of January in the year 2000, before 9/11, if you can imagine such a time ever existing. Let's see here. The AUC, a Colombian far-right paramilitary and drug trafficking group, responsible for retaliations against the FARC and ELN communist organization, as well as numerous attacks against civilians beginning in 1997 with the Mapiripan massacre, which is not good. Those are some evil dudes. Yeah, had about 20,000 members. God damn. Heavily financed through the drug trade. Murdering peasants and labor union leaders. Explicitly singled out political and trade union operatives of the extreme left as legitimate targets. Cool. Linked to corporations. In March 2007, the International Fruit Corporation, Chiquita, admitted to having paid the AUC from 1997 to 2004 $1.7 million, ostensibly in order to protect its workers and operations in Uraba and Santa Marta, of which at least $825,000 came after the AUC was designated a foreign terrorist operation by the U.S. State Department in 2001. Hey, by the way, like, just so you guys know, if you were found having transferred money to any registered terrorist org, you know where your ass would be in right now? You'd be in Gitmo, motherfucker. You'd be drinking your single daily meal out of a straw, okay? Chiquita, however, 15 years of waffling, and then they pay $5. Israeli role, of course. We're talking about evil people. Obviously, Israel comes up. Of course. According to a 1989 Colombian secret police intelligence report, apart from training Carlos Castaño in 83, Israeli trainers arrived in Colombia in 87 to train him and other paramilitaries who'd later make up the AUC. Oh, we've got like a Mujahideen situation a bit. 50 of the paramilitary's best students were then sent on scholarships to Israel. Man, everyone gets to do birthright. For further training, according to a Colombian police intelligence report. Nice. Super cool. After 17 years of legal efforts, the first time compensation has been paid to Colombian victims, funding a designated global terrorist group, 5 degrees of separation from Israel. That would be a fun game, you know, for any like terrorist or like ultra far right militia, 100%. Until it disarmed as part of a 2004 peace process, the AUC was responsible for most of the civilian lives lost in Colombia's brutal 6-decade-long conflict, which left 450,000 people dead and millions displaced. Yeah, guys, this wasn't like a bodyguard group, you know, this wasn't like a little miniature militia. Like, they terrorized the country for decades. Chiquita has argued that it was extorted by the AUC and that the payments were necessary to protect its employees from armed Marxists. Oh, guys, listen, we, the massive multinational corporation, had no choice but to pay off the local far-right anti-communist brigade. You know, the communists, they came after us. Continued to pay the AUC after it was designated an international terrorist organization. New evidence presented to the Florida courts also showed that Chiquita allowed the AUC to use its ports to import automatic rifles and its banana boats to smuggle cocaine across the seas. Dude! They were fully, like, complicit in the maintenance of a far-right militant narco-drug empire. $45 million? 38, sorry, less than that. $38 million. Unbelievable that the people responsible for this aren't currently rotting in a prison cell. The civil cases were brought by the family members of trade unionists, banana workers, and activists who were tortured, killed, and disappeared by paramilitaries as they sought to control the vast banana-producing regions of Colombia. Some victims were forcibly disappeared by the AUC merely for being suspected of sympathizing with the rebels. Among the victims who presented evidence was the widow of a union leader who was tortured, decapitated, and dismembered by the AUC in 1997. A spokesperson for Chiquita said the company would appeal the ruling, adding in a statement, "The situation in Colombia was tragic for so many, including those directly affected by the violence there, and our thoughts remain with them and their families. However, that does not change our belief there is no legal basis for these claims. While we are disappointed by the decision, we remain confident that our legal position will ultimately prevail." Nice. Why dismember somebody after decapitating them? I don't know. Fun? I'm going to be the guy that say they were probably more involved than the courts are saying. Oh, we just have evidence of 1.7 million being transferred over. That's just what they got on paper, okay? They were doing extensive, continuous business dealings with a narco group who were designated a terrorist org. Do you really think they unearthed all of the collaboration between these groups? Like, those motherfuckers were shredding and burning documents on this. Some of it got proven. Chiquita has been doing this shit since the 20s. It's where we get the term Banana Republic from. Like a far-right junta or like military controlled nation based on their collaboration with American Fruit Company or whatever. Like, that's literally where we get the term from. I thought that was a clothing store. And where do you think the clothing store got its name from? No Fed posting, Genial, even if you're completely correct. Why is the clothing store called that, though? I don't know. Did you know this guy that killed, raped, mutilated over 190 children only got 23 years? Colombian serial killer. Was this guy part of the militia group, or is this just a random serial killer? I don't know what the relationship is apart from this guy being in the same country, though. They sure did choose a spooky photo for him. You know, pretty fitting considering, like, the nature of his, you know. They got it from selling military surplus as safari clothing. Oh, really? The brand Banana Republic is called Banana Republic because they were selling military surplus as safari clothing? Huh. Well, that's a little bit on the nose. I guess it's somewhat noteworthy that a Florida court even ruled this because historically America has just not allowed American corporations to face consequences for behavior they've done like, look at the history of the efforts of suing Nestle in America. Like, there are so many examples of megacorps. Dole, however it's pronounced. I've never actually heard it said out loud. Yeah, there are so many examples of, like, hey, this company that, like, gives you your chocolate milk is also responsible for this famine and, like, these water rights being taken away and, like, this far-right paramilitary group, Coca-Cola death squads, etc., etc. And it's just, like, never amounts to any legal punishment because American courts will protect the out of our corpos, which makes sense in, like, a real politic kind of way, but doesn't make sense in a whole, like, following the law kind of way. If you could delude yourself for a moment into believing that was ever a part of the, like, incentive structure.